Well, UFC 269 just got an incredible fight. Leon Edwards versus Jorge Masvidal is finally happening, Drake. That's what I keep hearing everybody say. Finally, finally. And we'll get to that in a little bit because I have some qualms to bring up with some of you in the Twitter universe or whatever that place is. It's showing my age here. But so, first of all, this fight, Leon says he's going to be a millionaire, right? Tweets out something to that effect. And then shortly after, we get the confirmation that it's Leon versus Jorge. This is after Leon had pretty much said, no, we're not taking this fight. And then Jorge called him out for it and said, oh, coward, all this stuff. They obviously have a saga with the three-piece in a soda, fighting each other backstage at the Masvidal versus Till event in London. Drake, first of all, how excited are you for this matchup? Let's start there.
I'm pretty excited for it. The thing that makes me not as excited for it as maybe I would have been if it happened sooner is the fact that I guess it didn't happen sooner, and now the current state of affairs, I think they should probably be going in separate directions than right into each other. But alas, here we are. So I think I'm probably a solid 5 because I'm still intrigued by it, of course. But we'll
5 out of 10.
5 out of 10. Yeah, we'll get to those semantics maybe as mentioning why I'm not as or where I think things should be. But yeah, no, it should definitely be a good fight and a much needed maybe grudge match for Leon. I mean, obviously the Nate fight didn't quite, despite winning very clearly and handily, did not work out as well as he and everyone, I guess, expected it to. The man should be fighting for a title, but here we are. He's getting it drug out. So matchup wise, I think it'll be fun while it lasts. There are still we need some questions answered about Jorge now. Like, is Usman everybody's kryptonite, just Masvidal's? We'll find out. I think that on paper it favors Edwards because the guy is still incredibly, probably criminally underrated still. So yeah, it should be interesting, but it's not, I don't expect it to be like an insane war, an instant classic. I just don't see it going that way.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is frustrating for me for a couple of reasons, right? One, I am happy. Let me start with what I am happy about. I am happy that Leon is apparently getting paid, right? Seems that based on his tweet and everything and, kind of doing a 180, I'm assuming he's getting a big payday. So shout out to Leon Edwards doing what he's got to do to get his money because we know how that can be in this sport. So no qualms there for him taking this fight, doing his own thing. But I don't know how many people told me when Leon beat Nate Diaz, which, yes, again, all everybody talks about is, he got rocked, and if Diaz had really followed up, he finished the fight, which, don't get me wrong, yeah, I like the excitement, but yes, he dominated that fight for the other 24 minutes or so, so it's kind of nuts to say that he, didn't win there. The man is on a 9-fight win streak, and so many of you were out there saying, he shouldn't even be fighting Nate. He should be fighting for a title, or he's finally beat Nate. Like, give this man a title shot, all this. Now, all of a sudden, you guys are out there saying, finally we get Jorge versus Edwards. What? Excuse me? I mean, again, I'm happy he's getting paid, so I don't have an issue with it. But how many of you were on your soapbox demanding that Leon Edwards get a title shot? Now you're all like, this is going to be a bang. It's so great. Man, if Leon loses to Jorge, he doesn't get a title shot. You guys realize that, right? And again, I think that this fight is probably going to go Edwards' way and is going to be an Edwards decision, as is, classic, because while everybody loves to talk about how great Jorge has become and all this other stuff, let's not forget that, one, the first time around, Usman just straight dominated him. It was on short notice. Yes, there was all that. Okay, sure enough. The second time around, he knocks out Jorge. And before Jorge made this ridiculous run, let's look at some of Jorge's losses, right? Specifically UFC 217. He got dominated, pillar to post, by Stephen Thompson. I'm pretty sure that yes, I know Thompson lost to Gilbert Burns, all of that, but I'm pretty sure if you had done Thompson versus Masvidal again, there's no reason that fight goes any different. And that's the same thing I'm expecting here. I expect Leon to kind of control, do his game, and just outpoint Jorge for a decision. And that's going to be the end of it. But the fact that this fight is even happening and so many people are so excited about it just goes to show you that the memory of many MMA fans and pundits alike are, very, very short attention span, memory lifespan, because I cannot, tell you how many big name MMA pundits and personalities in the sport were like, give this man a title shot. And now they're super excited for Jorge versus Leon. And it's like, what? It's like, get out of here. Just get out of here, man.
Well, it's no secret that there's a lot of goldfish in that sea, Pat. It is what it is, unfortunately. But I'm gonna play devil's advocate here, not for me, but for everybody, because I am with you on that. But I'm assuming that maybe the thought is Covington Usman 2 is already booked, and yes, it's coming up rather quickly, so you don't really need to. There's not a lot of time that Leon would have to wait for. I mean, depending on how the winner of that fight comes out, and I guess you could probably say they'll do a trilogy if Colby wins. Why wouldn't they, business wise, right? But if we're gonna judge by the first fight how much damage they gave each other, like winner, let's say it's Usman and they move on because you'd have 2-0 over Covington at that point. Who knows how long he'd be out depending on how it goes, right? So I guess if you're looking at those kind of things, that'll be my devil's advocate call. But yes, we know that Edwards should be fighting for the title. Covington Masvidal was the grudge match to really make.
Yes.
This matchmaking's all backwards, Pat.
Exactly. That is my response to said devil's advocate approach is you should have made Leon versus Usman and then Covington versus Jorge. That would have been perfect. But here we are. Again, this is the UFC not striking while the iron is hot in terms of the beef. Jorge versus Leon made a lot of sense
in 2019.
Yeah, 2 or 3 years ago. Doesn't make as much sense now. Yeah, you've got some of the memory there, sure, but I mean, come on, not nearly as hot. Jorge versus Covington, they were beefing as recently as last year, I'm pretty sure, if not more recently than that. So why on earth would you not make that fight instead? That's the one, that I can't quite understand. And here's the other thing, is that let's say that Leon versus Jorge goes to a controversial decision, right? Let's say it's a split decision for Jorge. Leon is not getting a title shot. For those of you that think like, oh, if he loses one and then he comes back, wins another, they'll go ahead and... No. Look at how long they are stringing this out. If you think that they're going to give Leon a title shot if he loses at all to Jorge without him, basically going through another 3 or 4 people, it's ridiculous. So I got to call people out for the hypocrisy of, this, can we finally give him a title shot? This man deserves a title shot, and then being this excited about this fight. Because you and I both know, Drake, that if Leon sat out and then got a title shot, say 4 or 5 months from now, he'd be sitting out, I don't know, a while, but it wouldn't be that ridiculous. We've seen champions, we've seen contenders, sit out for quite a long time. I mean, Covington, who was the last person Covington fought? Woodley, right? Yeah. How long did he wait and then get a title shot?
Good one.
Come on. Yeah. So I
even Woodley, when he got his shot against Lawler, waited like a year practically.
Yeah. No, we see this all the time. And so, I mean, it's a risk Leon is willing to take, obviously, due to the money, and that's fine. I'm just saying, as fun as this fight should be, I'm not overly happy that it comes at the possible expense of Leon's title shot. Now, if Leon gets past Jorge, there's no denying him now. I I am sure he will sit on the sidelines and just wait. But then again, I said that about Diaz, and here we are. So,
right. Well, I mean, thankfully, I think for him, he's taken on a guy who is, well, first of all, beat Nate, and then is coming off back-to-back title fights. clearly still in the top 5-ish range, you know, for the welterweights. I think that helps maybe a little bit more if he beats him, despite, you know, 2 losses in a row, all that kind of thing. But it's a really interesting situation. And like you said, Leon, if he wins, you gotta get, the thing is, there's no one else, especially if Usman wins. Because like I said, if Covington wins, you better believe we're going 3-peat on that, which is what it is. But, you know, makes some sense, business side.
Maybe, but then again, I mean, I think the dream scenario here for the UFC, right? Because they know Masvidal can pull numbers. That's pretty much proven now. He's kind of been elevated to that level of he actually draws. That's probably the reason.
And Masvidal wins, is that's where you're going.
Yeah, because that's I'm assuming the whole reason that Masvidal gets this fight against Edwards is because if Masvidal is able to get past Edwards, it gives him more legitimacy to get a title shot immediately again. And if Covington gets past Usman, then yes, you make that fight all day, and it's a no-brainer for business. So I think there is some business sense here. But again, I'm not sure what you do from a business standpoint if Masvidal wins and Usman wins.
Right.
Because then now you've created a very high-level gatekeeper, and you've killed your one clear opponent for a title shot. So I think that's kind of a worst-case scenario for the UFC. But then again, you know, they'll find a way. They always do. They mix it up. So who knows? Probably get McGregor to get a title shot.
Goodness. So. No, that's a great point, and I wanted to mention that because if that happens, which is possible, of course, we're both, I don't think, leaning towards Masvidal getting the win there. Probably both leaning Usman, fair to say, Pat, right? Mm-hmm. But let's say they both do win. Then the biggest winner out of everybody at welterweight is Vicente Luque. That's the guy after. And I wouldn't be mad at that, but it's like, it's kind of crazy to look at how this incredible division, like talent-wise, is actually running a little bit dry and thin on contenders for whoever the champion is. And I know Covington has fought less of the top guys than Usman, but we'll see how it plays out, right?
Yeah, we'll see. And I mean, you know, Hamzat Chimaev's coming back, so you never know. They might just slip him back in there. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, this is a fun fight, but it comes at a risk, and I just want everyone to realize that should Jorge get past Leon, I know we're going to see a bunch of tweets saying, well, man, Leon should have been given the title shot. It's ridiculous. Especially if it's a controversial decision. Everyone's going to be like, man, this is ridiculous. This never should have happened. This matchup is crazy. All of you were like, finally, this fight is a banger. It's so great. It's awesome. Like, yeah, I mean, that's fine. But just remember this, that it is a banger on paper. It might end up being a boring, controversial decision that takes away a clear contender for the belt. That's all I'm saying. Hopefully not, but we'll see.
Time will tell. At UFC 269, December 11th. Man, what a stretch of cards, too, that we have coming out pay-per-view-wise for the end here, Pat. So, also, I guess one more thing to add before we wrap up here is, are you a little bit surprised that this isn't a 5-rounder? Because, you know, you would think following the trend, I know that Diaz bros are getting very clear special treatment privileges and all that, but Masvidal, I think, has that same pull at this stage, especially over Nick.
Yes and no. I mean, so the interesting thing about this, right, is that I think the Nick's pull is a lot deeper than people realize. Just because, I mean, you take away the 5-round fight aspect, but the amount of teammates Nick was able to get to fight on that card, including Martin Sano, I believe that was who had no business being in that cage.
Like 15 seconds.
15 seconds, like 4-3. His last fight in Bellator was a draw and 4-2-1, something ridiculous. I mean, clearly he got a lot of special treatment. Masvidal, on the other hand, already has kind of a signed contract. We know that he's publicly complained about pay, as well as, you know, wanting the UFC to feed people and, you know, feed him people right before this matchup. And I think it becomes a little bit of well, this guy is still under contract with us. We've kind of got him locked in. we're not going to readjust. And it doesn't surprise me that they're going to have this fight, here while they're moving Figgy Moreno 3 over to 270, because this will help boost it, and they don't have to pay him as much. Because, as I've said, I don't have official confirmation of this, but if you're in a 5-round fight, I'm pretty sure in the UFC you get paid more money. Pretty sure that's how it works. That's part of the reason the Diaz brothers get to be in 5-round fights and have that special treatment. That's why I have Conor versus Nate being a 5-rounder without a title, right? There's a whole bunch of stuff that lines up into that. So, I mean, I think that if he continues to prove his drawing power, he might eventually get that. But the fact that Nick was able to bring back as much hype as he did, having, not that many fights and a win a decade ago, right? Yeah. Was last one. I mean, that kind of speaks to what Nick can bring. So it's a little, we'll see. But I'm not shocked it's 3 rounds, because UFC doesn't want to pay,
No way.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought that they want to keep costs as low as possible? Who knew? Yeah. But let us know how you feel about the fight below. Are you excited for this one? Do you think Leon should have gotten the title shot and you should have done Jorge versus Covington? Let us know all of your thoughts surrounding this. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, bell notification if you haven't done all that stuff already. And I mean, this is hopefully a great fight. That's all I want out of this, is a great fight. But I'm just saying, I'm not going to say I told you so if this happens, but just know this was here. This was recorded. This was here prior to this fight happening. If things don't go the way that you like, that's all I'm saying. So,
they all fall to Chimaev, Pat.
Yeah, that's true. You got Chimaev. Who cares about all of this?
Choo choo.
Choo choo.